What up, Scare Squad? Welcome back to ScareTopic. I'm OC. Today we got the story of Jack the Ripper. I did this before, but it was copyright, so I took it down. But I don't mind doing it again. I like learning history. You know what I'm saying? Let's go though. Let's get it.
London, 1888. To the world, it was the greatest city on earth, the capital of the British Empire, a place where fortunes were made, industries flourished, and progress seemed unstoppable. Steam trains thundered across iron bridges, factories roared day and night, horse-drawn carriages filled the streets. Elegant gentlemen walked beneath towering buildings, while the wealthy believed London was the future. It was a city of ambition, of power, of endless opportunity. But cities have two faces. Behind the grand architecture, beyond the wealthy districts, far away from the eyes of politicians and businessmen, there was another London. One hidden beneath smoke, fog, and poverty, a place few wanted to see. Its name was Whitechapel. Whitechapel wasn't simply poor. It was desperate. Entire families lived inside rooms barely large enough for a single bed. Children worked before they learned to read. Disease spread quickly. Jobs disappeared without warning. Every day, thousands of people wondered where their next meal would come from. For many women, survival became a decision made one day at a time. A few pennies could mean the difference between eating or going hungry.
This is very similar to modern day society. It's like, I mean, a lot changed, but shit, a lot of it shit still going on. Now, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of places in the world are still like this. Still like this. 2026, today, yep, they're still like this.
In a bed or sleeping beneath the open sky. Night after night, people wandered from lodging house to lodging house, hoping they had enough money for one more night indoors. If they didn't, the streets became their home. As evening arrived, Whitechapel transformed. The factories grew quieter. Market stalls disappeared. Public houses filled with exhausted workers. Gas lamps flickered to life, one after another, casting long shadows across rain-soaked cobblestones. Police officers walked lonely patrols. Their lanterns barely pierced the thick London fog. The darkness seemed endless. And somewhere within it, someone was watching. Violence wasn't unusual in Whitechapel. Arguments often turned into fights. Theft was common. Murder, while tragic, was not unheard of. But in the late summer of 1888, something changed. Not because another person died, but because someone had begun killing, again and again, without leaving behind a name, a face, or a reason. Today, history remembers the killer.
And back in the days, y'all gotta understand, the reason why a lot of these serial killers got away is because they didn't have the technology. You know what I'm saying? The crime scene analysis, the forensic team, they didn't have the type of technology they have today, this era. You know what I'm saying?
His name has appeared in books, films, television, and countless documentaries. But before we speak about him, we should remember those whose lives were taken. Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, Mary Jane Kelly. 5 names, 5 lives, 5 human beings. Long before the legend, there were victims, and they deserve to be remembered. In the final days of August, Whitechapel looked ordinary. Children laughed in the streets. Workers hurried toward the factories before sunrise. Street vendors prepared for another day. No one knew that history was about to change. London was enormous. More than 5 million people called it home. Every week, new arrivals poured into the East End searching for work. Some found opportunity. Many found only hardship. The city grew faster than anyone could control. Overcrowding became normal. Poverty became invisible. And hidden within millions of ordinary lives, a predator waited. Patiently then, in the early hours of August 31st, everything changed. A working man named Charles Cross was walking to work along Bucks Row. It was just before dawn. The streets were almost silent. Only the sound of distant footsteps and the occasional horse carriage broke the morning stillness. As he walked through the fog, something caught his eye. A shape, lying motionless in the middle of the street. At first, he assumed someone was asleep. It wasn't uncommon. Many people had nowhere else to go. But as he stepped closer, something felt wrong. Another man approached. Together, they looked down. Neither spoke. They quickly searched for a nearby police officer. Within minutes, a constable arrived carrying a lantern. The woman was identified as Marianne Nichols. She was 43 years old. A mother. A daughter. A woman whose life had slowly unraveled after years of hardship. Only hours earlier, she had reportedly told friends she would earn enough money for a bed before morning. She never did. As investigators examined the scene, one thing became painfully clear. This wasn't a random act of violence. Whoever had committed the crime had acted quickly, confidently, and then vanished. No witnesses.
Yeah, they did that quiet.
No clear clues. No obvious suspect. At first, police believed it might.
But you know what's crazy though? I hope they took the two men who found her in as suspect, because in today's era, how they work is, even if you are the husband, even if you are the child that reported someone, that found somebody dead or report somebody dead, you are the suspect. In today's era, you are the suspect. If you find a dead body or something, you are the suspect until they could find out that you're not. You know what I'm saying? So they could prove otherwise that you're not, then you are the suspect. You are. So I hope they put those two guys who found her and reported her as a suspect. You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of weird. It's not weird, but you would want to take that step just in case. You know what I'm saying? Because people really are like troubled, and a lot of these people, they the way they think, you would be like shit. So I wouldn't be surprised if they was just, playing it off like they just found her and they was the one that really did it. I wouldn't be surprised.
An isolated murder. A terrible tragedy. Nothing more. But they were wrong. Because somewhere, beyond the fog, the killer was already free. Already watching. And perhaps already choosing his next victim. The people of Whitechapel hoped it was over. Perhaps whoever had committed the murder
they never took him into custody.
Perhaps Marianne Nichols would be the only victim. Life slowly began to return to normal. Market stalls reopened. Factory whistles echoed through the streets. Workers hurried to their jobs, trying to convince themselves that the nightmare had ended. But fear has a way of lingering. Every unfamiliar face, every distant footstep, every shadow disappearing into the fog made people stop and look twice. Just 8 days later, their worst fears became reality. September 8th, the morning began like any other. The streets were quiet, the air was cold, fog clung to the narrow alleys of Whitechapel, as if the city itself was holding its breath. At approximately 6 o'clock, a resident stepped into the backyard of 29 Hanbury Street. Moments later, he made a discovery that would send another wave of terror across London. The victim was Annie Chapman. She was 47 years old. A mother. A daughter. Like Marianne Nichols, she had struggled simply to survive. Every day was uncertain. Every night, a search for enough money to buy a bed. When investigators examined the scene, an uncomfortable truth began to emerge. The similarities were impossible to ignore.
So
another woman, another early morning.
So he's killing homeless women? So I guess that's his target, homeless women. Because the first woman that he killed, she was the same, you know what I'm saying? The same exact thing. She was going on with her. She was trying to get trying to make enough money to buy a bed. Damn, that sucks because he could he could he could do this for a long time because nobody pay attention to homeless people. Nobody. So that sucks. That's crazy.
Another location, hidden from public view. The police could no longer believe these crimes were unrelated. Someone was hunting, and he had struck again. News spread through Whitechapel with incredible speed. Neighbors gathered outside their homes. Shopkeepers whispered to customers. Inside crowded public houses, conversations stopped whenever someone mentioned the latest murder. No one felt safe anymore. The East End was changing. Soon, rumors spread even faster than facts. Some believed the killer must have been a doctor. Others insisted he was a butcher, a sailor, a foreigner, or perhaps someone respected by the community. Every theory seemed believable because nobody had an answer. And when people don't have answers, fear fills the silence. The news.
I would have been strapped every day. If I lived in this town at this era, I would have been strapped every day because you don't know. You don't know. Look at this, y'all. Look at this. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's just a photo, it's reality. You know what I'm saying? This is how the towns look. That's people. And that one of those people amongst you is the killer. So you're gonna be screwed if you get caught up. If you get caught in a if he catches you in an area where, but his victims are homeless women though. So that, yeah. But it's just, you never know though. That's the thing about this thing. You don't know if he'll snap and kill anybody. You don't know. You might think his victims are just homeless people until you go way off track and kill somebody else. You be like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Now you don't know who did it. But if they say that that's his motive, that's his motives. I don't think he's gonna go off track. But it's still scary to just know that there's a killer amongst you, right? It's scary. That would be scary. I would still be strapped. I don't care.
Theory seemed believable because nobody had an answer. And when people don't have answers, fear fills the silence. The newspapers seized the story. Every morning, fresh headlines appeared. Each edition promised new clues, new suspects, new theories. Some exaggerated the truth. Others invented details entirely. But every article fed the growing panic. The murders were no longer a local tragedy. They had become national news. Soon, the entire country knew the name, Whitechapel. As pressure mounted, the Metropolitan Police increased patrols across the district. Constables carrying lanterns walked every major street. Volunteer citizens joined neighborhood patrols. Suspicious strangers were questioned. Dark alleyways were searched. Doors were checked. Windows watched. Night after night, men searched the streets looking for someone they couldn't describe. How do you catch a man whose face no one remembers, despite
If they knew his victims was homeless women, they should have stuck around the homeless women. You know, have a bunch of security guards or police patrolmen, whoever you want. You know, have a bunch of them stand around the spots where it's a lot of homeless women at, or every corner where it's homeless women at. You put them there. That's what they should have did.
Increased patrols, the killer remained invisible. It was as though he understood exactly how the city worked. He struck quickly, he vanished quietly, and he always seemed one step ahead. Some investigators believed he blended naturally into Whitechapel. Perhaps he lived there, perhaps he worked there, or perhaps he looked so ordinary no one noticed him at all. Then September 30th arrived, a date that would become known forever as the double event. In the early hours of the morning, Elizabeth Stride became the third victim. Her life, like the others, had been shaped by poverty and hardship. But something seemed different. Investigators believed the killer may have been interrupted. Before he could continue, someone entered the area. A horse and cart approached nearby. Forced to leave quickly, the murderer disappeared into the darkness. But less than an hour later, the nightmare continued. Only a short distance away, inside Meter Square, another woman, Catherine Eddowes, was found. She had only recently been released from police custody after spending the night in a jail cell for public drunkenness.
So, did the murderer leave quickly? Did after this dude pulled up with the carriage, right? After he pulls up with the carriage, did they not question him? Did he not become a suspect? Because I mean, if he reported that person dead, maybe he was the killer trying to throw you off, because you know you putting it in the reports, everybody's talking about it. It's a lot about it's a lot a build up around this man right now. So he knows that the eyes is on him. He knows that. So maybe he was doing something to throw you off. You know what I'm saying? You should have took him into custody. That's the third person that found a body, and he found a body and didn't become a suspect. That's where they messed up at.
Less than an hour later, the nightmare continued. Only a short distance away, inside Meter Square, another woman, Catherine Eddowes, was found. She had only recently been released from police custody after spending the night in a jail cell for public drunkenness. Before leaving, she reportedly smiled and walked into the cold London night. No one could have imagined it would be the last time anyone saw her alive. Now, there could be no doubt. One killer, two murders. Within a single night, the entire city was shaken. Police patrols doubled. Detectives worked around the clock. The government demanded progress. The newspapers demanded answers. The public demanded justice. But despite the largest investigation Britain had ever seen, the killer remained free. Then, just as investigators struggled to understand the crimes, a letter arrived, written in red ink, addressed to the authorities. It mocked the police.
Wow. You see what I'm saying? Now he playing games. He's been playing games. He's been playing games because he knew y'all messed up from the beginning. From the beginning, because y'all didn't know who he was. He probably spoke to y'all already. He probably spoke to them. I'm telling you, if they would have grabbed those two guys that found the body, the first body, or the guy who found the third body, well, not the third body, is it the third? I think it was the third. You know, the one who pulled up on the wagon. Him. If they would have took him in, and the other two, and put them under investigation, the killing would have stopped. I'm telling you, it would have stopped. One out of those three guys is the killer. Gotta be. First on the scene, reported the crime, and just moved on. That was too easy. It was too easy.
It ridiculed the investigation, and it ended with a name. A name the world would never forget. Jack the Ripper. Whether the letter truly came from the murderer or from someone seeking attention remains unknown even today. But from that moment forward, the mystery had a name, and legends began to grow. The police believed they were chasing a man. History would remember a ghost.
Also, he told y'all his name was Jack. So whoever got the name, if them suspects, them people who found the bodies, if their name had any type of Jack in it, they was him. They were him. He was them. For real though.
October of 1888, Whitechapel had changed. Not because its streets looked different, but because its people did. The laughter that once drifted through crowded markets had grown quieter. Neighbors locked their doors before sunset. Curtains were drawn. Families hurried home. And every unfamiliar face was watched with suspicion. The killer had done more than take lives. He had stolen something from the city itself, its sense of safety. Fear became part of everyday life. Women no longer walked alone if they could avoid it. Some carried small lanterns, not because they believed the light would protect them, but because darkness now felt unbearable. Others refused to leave their lodging houses after nightfall. Yet many had no choice. Poverty doesn't wait for danger to pass. If you needed money to eat, you went outside, even when everyone knew someone might be waiting. Night after night, volunteer patrols walked the streets. Shopkeepers, laborers, dock workers, ordinary men carrying lanterns, searching alleyways, watching every shadow. Police officers increased their patrols. The Metropolitan Police assigned more detectives. Scotland Yard faced enormous pressure. Every newspaper demanded results. Every citizen demanded answers. But with every passing day, the investigation seemed to produce only more questions. Hundreds of people were interviewed. Then hundreds more. Neighbors, doctors, butchers, sailors, laborers, immigrants, anyone who seemed even slightly suspicious. Every rumor was investigated. Every lead was followed. Most ended exactly the same way. Nowhere the detectives weren't incompetent. They were fighting a battle with almost no weapons. There were no surveillance cameras, no DNA testing, no fingerprint databases, no forensic laboratories. Crime scene investigation was still in its infancy.
Yeah, and it was no body being brought in to question. That was a big issue. I don't know how they did it back then. Like, so when a crime happened back then, they just go to the crime scene, retrieve the body, and take statements. They don't like put people under investigation. Cause in the era we live in today, it's nothing like this. Nothing. You wouldn't even imagine. Yeah, I can't even imagine living like this, bro. Where something happening and I wouldn't be the suspect if I report the crime. I can't imagine that. I'm gonna be the suspect. Nowadays, if I report the crime, I'm gonna be the suspect. I'm gonna have a good alibi. I'm gonna have to really not be the suspect. You know what I'm saying? To get away from that. So they should have known. I don't know. They should have known that. They don't got no cameras, nothing. You're gonna need to, hold somebody accountable. Why not, investigate the ones that's there first, the ones that's first on the scene. It would have made a lot more sense. They probably would have got a lot more discovered. A lot. They probably would have got them if they would have did that. Shit.
Evidence was often contaminated before officers even arrived. Curious crowds gathered around crime scenes. Witnesses accidentally disturbed important clues.
Yeah, they were supposed to grab somebody.
Fog hid details. Time erased what little remained. By modern standards, the investigation had almost no chance. The witnesses only made things more difficult. Some claimed they had seen a suspicious gentleman. Others described a laborer, a sailor, a foreigner,
they
a well-dressed businessman.
Like I said, they should have grabbed the ones first on the scene. The person that reported the crime. And that's the last time I'm going to say it. My bad, y'all.
Others described a laborer, a sailor, a foreigner, a well-dressed businessman. Each description contradicted the last. Every interview seemed to create another mystery instead of solving one. The detectives found themselves chasing shadows. Then the letters began arriving. Not one, not two. Dozens, then hundreds. Most were obvious hoaxes, people seeking attention, journalists chasing headlines, pranksters enjoying the panic. Every letter claimed the same thing. I am the killer.
And people are so, like, this is why I don't even like people, bro. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't hate people, but shit, I'm not people friendly. I'm not. I'm not people friendly. I used to be. I'm not. No, I'm lying. I was never people friendly. I was never people friendly. I just had a lot of friends. Shit. But people is wicked, son. How could you joke about a time like this? People losing their life. They people losing their lives. It's a murderer running around killing women, and they don't know who it is, and y'all just want to be. Damn. This shit followed us from the beginning of time. We've been doomed from the beginning of time. People been just like bugged out. People been bugged out. It's not gonna change, bro. Nothing is gonna change.
The police were forced to examine them all. Each one consumed valuable time. Each one distracted investigators. And each one buried the truth a little deeper. One letter changed everything. It began with 2 simple words. Dear boss. The writer mocked the police, boasted about the murders, and promised there would be more. At the bottom was a signature. Jack the Ripper. Whether the murderer truly wrote those words, no one knows. Many historians believe he probably didn't. But the newspapers loved the name. Within days, it appeared everywhere. Across London, across Britain, and eventually across the world. The killer no longer needed a face. The name was enough. The investigation continued. Weeks became months. Detectives barely slept. Evidence covered every available desk. Maps of Whitechapel filled entire walls. Strings connected crime scenes, witness statements, street maps, letters, suspect lists. Every clue led somewhere. Then nowhere. As the city searched for one man, something unexpected happened. The fear began changing people. Neighbors became suspicious of neighbors. Strangers avoided eye contact. Anyone walking alone after midnight risked becoming a suspect. Ordinary lives were quietly transformed by uncertainty.
And that is how he got away. That's how he got away. Because he created a panic. He created a panic, and because the cops, like I said before, they didn't investigate the people. So because of that, and then because of the panic, he knew this was not gonna work anymore. Everybody's being suspicious of each other. It's not gonna work anymore, bro. It's not gonna work anymore. So I'm not gonna keep doing it if it's not gonna work. If I know it's not gonna work, I'm gonna go change my life or move on, go do something else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they let this man get away. They did. They had him. They let him get away.
Because uncertainty can be just as frightening as the truth. And then, as October faded into the cold days of November, the city waited. Every night, police expected another murder. Every sunrise, they wondered, had they stopped him? Or was he simply waiting for the perfect moment to strike again? Nobody knew. Not the detectives, not the newspapers, not the frightened people of Whitechapel. Only one person knew what would happen next. And he wasn't talking. November, the city held its breath. For nearly 3 months, Whitechapel had lived beneath a cloud of fear. Every sunrise brought relief. Every sunset brought anxiety. No one knew if another woman would die before morning. The police waited. The newspapers waited. The people waited. And then, on November 9th, the nightmare reached its final chapter. The victim was Mary Jane Kelly. She was believed to be only 25 years old, much younger than the other victims. Unlike the women before her, Mary had a room of her own, a tiny rented room inside Miller's Court. It wasn't much, just a single bed, a fireplace, and a window looking out into the narrow courtyard. But compared to sleeping on the streets, it was home. The following morning, her landlord arrived expecting to collect overdue rent. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again. Silence, thinking she had simply stepped out, he waited. Minutes passed. Still, nothing. Growing concerned, he looked through the small window. What he saw would haunt him for the rest of his life. Police were called immediately. The room was sealed, and detectives entered, knowing almost instantly they were looking at the work of the same killer. News spread faster than ever before. Crowds gathered outside Miller's court. Reporters arrived within hours. The newspapers printed extra editions. London was horrified. If the previous murders had created fear, this one created shock. People began asking a terrifying question. If someone wasn't safe inside their own room, then where? Was anyone safe? The investigation exploded. More detectives were assigned. Thousands of interviews were conducted. Police searched lodging houses, factories, hospitals, workshops, railway stations. Anyone who seemed suspicious was questioned. The list of suspects grew longer every week, yet evidence remained painfully scarce. The detectives weren't chasing a ghost. They believed the killer was real. He lived somewhere. He worked somewhere. He walked these same streets. Perhaps he had passed a police officer only minutes after a murder. Perhaps he had stood inside a crowded pub listening as people discussed his crimes. Perhaps he looked so ordinary no one noticed him. That possibility was perhaps the most frightening of all. Then something unexpected happened. Nothing. Days passed. Then weeks. The streets remained quiet. No new victims, no new crime scenes, no new letters that could be trusted. It was as if the killer had simply disappeared. Why? No one knew. Perhaps he died. Perhaps he left London. Perhaps he was arrested for another crime. Perhaps he was committed to an asylum. Or perhaps he simply chose to stop. History offers possibilities.
Somebody doing something like that, you ain't stopping. You not stopping. Ain't no stopping that. That man either died from some complications, health issue, or shit, I'm about to die. I'm about to take some people with me. He probably had that mentality. One of those, I can't go. I'm gonna take you with me. I mean, I gotta go. I'm gonna take you with me. If I gotta die, you gotta die too. He's maybe he was one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? So he probably died from health issues, or he probably died from somebody else. Somebody else probably killed him. You know what I'm saying? He probably tried the wrong person and got killed. Hopefully. You know what I'm saying? Or hopefully. Shit, that's what I want. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I hope happened. But they definitely let him walk. They let him walk.
Not answers. Years passed. The investigation slowly came to an end. Boxes of evidence were archived. Witness statements were filed away. Maps were folded. Case notes gathered dust. The officers who had devoted months of their lives never learned the truth. Some retired. Others died, still believing they had come so close. But the mystery refused to die. Instead, it grew. Books were written. Newspapers revisited the case. Historians uncovered forgotten documents. Detectives examined old evidence with modern techniques. Generation after generation, people asked the same question. Who was Jack the Ripper? Over the decades, dozens of suspects have been proposed. Some were doctors. Some were butchers. Some were criminals. Some were ordinary men who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Names appeared, then disappeared. New theories replaced old ones, each claiming to have solved the mystery. None have been universally accepted. Perhaps that is why this story still fascinates us. Not because of the killer, but because, for one brief moment in history, an entire city searched for a man who vanished without a trace. A mystery that has survived longer than anyone involved ever imagined. Today, Whitechapel is a different place. The streets are busier. The buildings have changed. Modern London surrounds the old East End. But if you walk those streets early in the morning, when the fog begins to settle, it's impossible not to remember what happened here more than a century ago. 5 women: Marianne Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, Mary Jane Kelly. Their lives were far more important than the man history remembers. The mystery made him famous. History should remember them. The identity of Jack the Ripper may...
And I agree. Like, fuck this nigga. Who the fuck is this nigga, Jack the Ripper? We don't care. Remember those names of the girls that he killed. Like, why should his name be the title? The title should be the names of the 5 victims that he killed. You know what I'm saying? That's what they should have documented in history, not Jack the Ripper. But you know, people like a thrill. People like, they like things that's catchy. They like they you know, they want it. They like suspense. They like drama. So they want Jack the Ripper. They don't want to hear nothing about the victims. They just want Jack the Ripper. They want to hear about Jack the Ripper. Who was he? Shit. I don't care why you kill. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. There should be no reason you wake up and say, I want to kill somebody. I'm going to go cut this person head off. I'm going to go chop this person up. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that to somebody. It should be no reason. I don't even want to think about how you came about doing it. I don't even want to think about how you thought of doing it, or even what made you think of doing it. I don't care. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. So if you are intrigued, like super intrigued by stuff like that, and you can't, like, it's an addiction. You have to know. You want to know. You gotta know. That's not healthy. You might have something going on with you. If you're new to my channel, like, subscribe. If you're not, still like and subscribe. I hope you all subscribe. You should be subscribed. If you're not, I'm gonna beat your ass. Nah. But yeah. Like, subscribe, and let me know how y'all feel about this story. Do y'all agree with what I say? Was the police officer supposed to check the guys, the first responders, the ones that's on the scene, the first guys that was on the scene that reported the crime? Or did they actually do what they were supposed to and just investigate the whole community? Yeah, just comment below what y'all thoughts is. What was the most insane part about the video and everything, you know? I did this video before, but I had to take it down because it was copywritten, which sucks. But enjoy though. I hope y'all enjoy the video, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one.